Hmm. Yeah, okay, good. Now, oh, we'll get started in a second. Alrighty, welcome back to BeWordL. I will be reading today from page 57. I think I'm talking to myself because the wheel is still spinning. Spinning wheel, spinning wheel. Okay. Hello. Let's get started. Page 57. Last time I was reading, I left off on the Gamaliel part. Quick note. I noticed because I was listening to the last reading, page 56, and I noticed that I pronounced diaspora with the long O. I just want to clarify. Most people, or maybe all people, I don't know, say diaspora, and I say diaspora because I say it wrong. So I should probably change that about myself. Anyways, bottom of page 56, we left off on Gamaliel first, in parentheses, Hilal's son and teacher of the Apostle Paul, reference Acts 22:3, was the leader of the Pharisees from AD 25 to 40. After the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, Johanan ben Zakkai undertook to reshape Pharisaism at Jamnia in AD 90. The foundation for mainstream Judaism down to modern times was established. Let's read on. We have 4 vocabulary words for today: Sanhedrin, Mishnah, Talmud, and Sadducees. So let's read on. Theologically, the Pharisees developed a set of views based on the Old Testament and their own oral traditions, both of which they considered equally authoritative. They delivered to the people, this is a quotation, delivered to the people a great many observances by tradition, which are not written in the law of Moses, says Josephus, Antiquities 13.10.6. They believed in God in almost a deistic fashion. Angels and spirits, providence, prayer, the necessity for faith and good works, the last judgment, a coming Messiah, and the immortality of the soul. Much of what the Pharisees believed was also believed by the early Christians. Jesus could say of them, "You must obey them and do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach." Reference is Matthew 23:3. Paul could say to the Sanhedrin, vocabulary for the day, Sanhedrin. Paul could say to the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. I stand on trial because of my hope in the resurrection of the dead." Acts 23:6. While not entirely denying the grace of God, the Pharisees were strongly legalistic, so much so that Jesus accused them of nullifying the commandments of God by holding to human traditions. Let me read that again. While not entirely denying the grace of God, the Pharisees were strongly legalistic, so much so that Jesus accused them of nullifying the commandments of God by holding to human traditions. Mark 7:8. These traditions were gathered together at the beginning of the 3rd century AD by Rabbi Judah the Patriarch in a book called the Mishnah, second vocab word for the day, Mishnah, which in turn formed part of the 3rd vocab for today, Talmud. These will be discussed shortly. So I'll just read that again. The traditions were gathered together at the beginning of the 3rd century AD by Rabbi Judah the Patriarch in a book called the Mishnah, which in turn formed part of the Talmud. The Pharisees were hostile toward Jesus because they felt he was lax with respect to their laws, was too accepting of sinful people, and was open to contact with the Gentiles. He also made blasphemous claims about himself and his relation to God. For his part, Jesus opposed them because of their legalism, their hypocrisy, and their unwillingness to accept the kingdom of God as represented in himself. Sadducees. The second major group of Jews in Jesus' day were the Sadducees. Both their origin and precise nature are now difficult to determine because they faded into oblivion after the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, when the Pharisaic point of view became, in essence, Judaism. They came into prominence during the Maccabean times by supporting the Hasmonean political aims under John Hyrcanus I, 135/4 to 104 BC. That was a lot. Let me rewind. So the Sadducees came into prominence during the Maccabean times by supporting the Hasmonean political aims under John Hyrcanus I, the year 135 or 134 to 104 BC. But under Alexandra, parentheses 76 to 67 BC, and Herod the Great, 37 to 4 BC, their power and numbers drastically declined. With the coming of the Roman procurators in AD 6, you think back to the procurators chapter or section. Yeah, the procurators were the guys that were, I don't want to ad lib, but they're right here, I think. Right here. These rulers were Fadus. Yeah, during the AD 44 to 66 period, there was a succession of bad procurators over the territory of Judea and Samaria. This and other conditions would eventually lead to a disastrous revolt against Rome. These rulers were in order Fadus, Tiberius, Julius Alexander, then Titius Cumanus, Felix, Festus, Albinus, Jessius Florus, and I'll leave out the years. But that's those that I just read were from AD 44 to 66. So back to today's reading, a few pages later. Where was I? Roman procurators. With the coming of the Roman procurators in AD 6, however, their fortunes rose, and they played a significant role in the Sanhedrin and the priesthood until the Jewish revolt of AD 66 to 70, when the radical elements prevailed. After that, the Sadducees disappeared from history. That's interesting. There's so much more there to study, but this is an overview. So basically, the Sadducees were a priestly aristocracy that had made their way to power by way of their connection to high priestly or aristocratic families. The Sadducees were a priestly aristocracy that made their way to power by way of their connection to high priest or aristocratic families. Theologically, they rejected almost everything the Pharisees and most pious Jews believed. They did not believe in angels or spirits, the resurrection, the last judgment, life and death. Life and death? Life and death? Life and death? How do they not believe in life and death? Oh, that does not say life and death. That says life after death. That makes more sense. Divine providence or a coming Messiah. So they really didn't believe much what the Pharisees believed. The Sadducees, who sought to discredit Jesus, did so by attacking his belief in the resurrection, if you read Matthew 22. Their opposition to Jesus lay basically in their desire to maintain their own privileged position, which Jesus threatened, if you look at John 11:48. They consequently made common cause with their political enemies, the Pharisees, in condemning Jesus to death. Interesting. So enemy is my friend in this case. Although the Pharisees wanted to be rid of Jesus for different reasons. Interesting. So they both had different reasons, huh? Okay. So should I read about the Essenes or should I just... It starts at the bottom of 57. It starts talking about the Essenes. But we already did all 4 vocabulary words for today: Sadducees, Talmud, Mishnah, and Sanhedrin. I think I will leave the Essenes for tomorrow. That'll be page 58. Yeah. So tomorrow's vocab, Essenes and Zealots. Zealots. I think that's it. Y'all have a nice day. Thanks for joining me. If you joined me today, have a nice day. Goodbye.